that stuff. The story is this. The Competition and Markets Authority has said that drivers have been paying an extra 6 pence per litre for fuel on supermarket forecourts since at least 2019 due to weakening competition between retailers. In a report, the regulator has made a number of recommendations, including what it calls a fuel finder scheme to help drivers find the cheapest fuel in their area. Let's bring into the conversation top consumer expert Scott Dixon. Scott, good to talk to you again.
Good afternoon, Rob.
Scott, I hope you find you well. Why has this been happening?
It's been going on for years, Rob, and you are right insofar as supermarkets have exploited consumers, not just in the shops, but also at the petrol stations, despite what they've said. And this has been proven by the Competition and Markets Authority final report. And it's interesting to note that whilst they've cited 6p a litre on unleaded and 13p per litre on diesel, over and above what consumers should be paying, there's VAT to add on top of that as well. So there is, I see it as 7.2p per litre including VAT and 15.6p per litre more for diesel including VAT.
Right, because people have been asking me, I was trying to find out. So there is obviously there's a price difference between diesel and petrol. So the Competition and Markets Authority saying we've been overcharged 6p plus VAT for petrol, at least 13p per litre on diesel. But of course, as you rightly say, then there's the VAT element as well. So that's increased still further. But there are ways of finding cheaper fuel, aren't there?
There is the petrol prices up, but what the Competition and Markets Authority are seeking is greater transparency and availability of petrol prices for everyone, because what we have to remember is not everyone is familiar with apps and smartphones and things like that. And Howard Cox, founder of Fair Fuel Campaign, he's been campaigning for this for years, for greater transparency. And the Northern Ireland Consumer Council has a similar scheme, and they publish the prices on a weekly basis, and it has resulted in cheaper fuel compared to the rest of the UK. So greater transparency does work for consumers.
So Scott, what happens in Northern Ireland where I think they have what they call a pump watch system?
It's a similar scheme. The Northern Ireland Consumer Council, they publish their weekly findings across the whole of the Northern Ireland where people can find the cheapest fuel. And it has made a big impact for consumers, and it has lowered petrol prices. So, and the problem that we've had during lockdown, the supermarkets have effectively colluded to increase their profit margins, not just at the petrol stations, but also in the supermarkets. And there's just no transparency. And while 70% of the fuel price is duty and VAT, it's the retailers' margins that it's just not transparent at all.
See, none of us are stupid, Scott. Right? We understand that it's not a charity. They're there to make a profit. It's not, they're providing a service, and it's an expensive business to be in. And also, you might get cheaper fuel depending on location. If you're in a very remote location, it might cost you more. But this is something else. This is the supermarkets in particular artificially keeping those prices high.
That's right, and they've got massive buying power. And I remember, as well as you do, supermarkets used to be the cheapest, and there was competition and there was price wars. But the past 2 years, that has diminished, and it's now independents that are leading the way with cheaper fuel prices, and they don't have the buying power that supermarkets have. So, if the independents can do it, surely the supermarkets can as well.
So what can consumers do about being overcharged? I mean, can you literally sit down with look through your bank statements or online, or go through the statements themselves and work out if you've bought petrol from supermarket X for the whole year, and then write to the head office, say, look, Competition Markets Authority said this, I want a rebate, I want you to pay me back this amount of money?
You couldn't, because they could turn around and say, well, the prices were displayed at the point of purchase, and that was your choice to fill up. But what I would like to see is the Competition and Markets Authority fine the supermarkets proportionately, work out how much they've been overcharging, and levy that as a fine proportionately, and pass it on via a fuel duty cut that is mandatory for retailers to pass on via the UK government.
So you're very good. That's why I said let's get Scott on, because I hadn't forgot the price is displayed before you, so you know what you don't have to buy petrol there. That's really good.
You know, it's what's known, it's a medieval term called invitation to treat. So you are being invited to make the purchase, but you're not, it's your choice at the end of the day, you know.
So what do you think might happen? Because the idea of passing a sort of a windfall tax on the supermarkets, because they make so much money anyway, so all they'll do is they'll just absorb it, or more. Well, they won't absorb it. They'll just pass it on to the consumer anyway.
That's right, and that's why I would like to see the Competition and Markets Authority levy fines. And yeah, I want to see greater transparency, the same as everybody else, and. You know, a fair way to actually pass on these unfair charges would be to levy a fine and use the fuel duty mechanism to enforce it to be passed on to consumers, maybe over a set length of time, maybe 6 months, 12 months, just to force it back into the consumer's pockets.
Scott, always appreciate your help. You're a top fella, you really are. I've just done a quick calculation on because you've got to add the VAT, you're right. So with the VAT included, if you fill up 50 times a year, 45 litres, then you've overpaid £162 for petrol, £350 you've overpaid if you drive a diesel. It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money, and we are just being ripped off, and that's been proven, and it's been suspected for a long time.
Scott, thank you. Top consumer expert Scott Dixon. He's always very wise words. Of course, he's right, of course. The display sign at the beginning, when you drive up to a petrol station, it tells you what it costs. They're not forcing you to buy their petrol. You choose to buy their fuel. But they're still overcharging you.